Hello and welcome back to the channel, folks. HeirofCarthage here, and we are back at the Medicina with Pergameme versus Epirus. A couple interesting factions here. Pergameme is obviously the meme of Rome 2 multiplayer. I don't know that they actually are the worst faction, but they're certainly not great. But we're going to see a fun one here. We've got slingers up front for Pergameme, as well as some Tarentine cavalry supporting the flanks. And then there's going to be Galatian spears in the first infantry line, Galatian swords making up most of the second infantry line, though the general is in an Agema spear, which, remember, is just a basically hopped up, Thurio spear. And then for cavalry, there's a lot of very heavy cavalry here. There are 4 Hippeus lancers, not the Pergamene noble cavalry, but the Hippeus lancers. And the back is a single peltist unit. So that is the Pergamene army, and over here for Epirus, there are going to be 3 mercenary Rhodian slingers. They're going to be very dangerous. And Epirus bringing out the pikes here. Hellenic Royal Guard General in the pike unit here. And then we've got some Levy pikes supporting that Hellenic Royal Guard. They are flanked by Samnite warriors, Thurio spears, supported from behind by Agrianian axemen, which are really cool. Hybrid units. They're pretty decent in a melee after they discharge their javelins, especially when they go into lighter units. A lot of Thurio spears back here. 1 Thessalian cavalry and a mercenary Italian cav. So basically, Epirus has sacrificed cavalry to go with a very good skirmish front and strong defensive main line. If they can put down the Pergamene skirmishers, they may find themselves in a good place. However, protecting their backlines from all the shot cavalry could be tricky. Pikes are notoriously difficult to get to be effective. If you start to lose a skirmish fight, for instance, you're going to be in bad shape. And Pergamene has a lot of cavalry to work with to try and swing that skirmish fight into their favor. Let's check out the Rhodians. Yep, they're going to begin firing, and they're going to get first shots into the Pergamene slingers, and those are again just standard slingers for Pergamene. Pergamene looks like they're going to move up. If I were Pergamene, I think I would ignore the Rhodians and just start dumping my fire into the pikes. But then again, those Rhodians will probably kill the slingers relatively quick. Looks like the Rhodians are going to pull back in the face of the peltist. I think that's a good idea. The Agrianian axemen might be useful in forcing back the peltist units here. So let's see whether Epirus can defend its pike line. That is usually critical. This little bit of a blob here with the slingers on top of the standard slingers, not good, because then the peltists are going to get extra value when they hit. And let's see what happens here. Pergamene getting pretty aggressive on an infantry push. I guess they're probably worried about sitting back and taking fire from the Epirus skirmishers. I'm trying to see where the Pergamene slingers are targeting. I'm not 100% certain at the moment. A lot of missile fire being exchanged, and here comes Pergamene towards the flanks, maybe trying to break through the Thurio spears and Samnite warriors and try and avoid the front of that phalanx, which you certainly don't want to go headlong into a phalanx. Those Hippeus lancers got a pretty clean charge there. The Agrianian axemen and Thurio spears are going to need to do an excellent job of fending off the Hippeus lancers. But a lot of the Agrianians are already chucking all their javelins up front. There are multiple units of Agema spears. Or I say multiple, 2 of them. Let's see how that Levy pike... The Levy pike line's looking good. It's the Rhodians and the slingers, I believe, that those peltists are targeting. And it looks like the Pergamene slinger's taking a lot of fire. The Samnite warriors should be able to take on a fair few Galatian swords. They won't be able to do that forever. They could certainly use some help. Here comes the Thessalian cavalry helping to counter that Tarentine cavalry. I think that's a good call. The Hippeus lancers still kind of being held at bay in just sheer numbers at the moment, ripping through the Samnite warriors. Look at that, that pikeman came over to assist, and as soon as its flank got turned, he got absolutely eaten up by missile fire. So I would say things looking down for Epirus at the moment, because their flank is starting to come apart. And when you have a pike line that's very dependent on holding a flank, then you're in trouble. And so the Samnite warriors are tough units, but there's only so much punishment they can take here. Nice job getting rid of a lancer here, though, by Epirus. So that was a nice cleanup over there. There's another lancer potentially coming in. Looks like one just made a charge here. Those Thessalians may want to get into pursuit mode there, and the Agrianians need to start pitching javelins. Honestly, the Agrianians should be pitching their javelins into the side of this infantry. It needs to stop that infantry desperately. Look at this Agema Spear getting caught by the pike unit. And over here, the Hellenic Royal Guard decides to come over and push into the enemy levy pikemen. It's not over for Epirus, not by any means. But let's see whether they can re-secure this flank. They pulled the Hippeus Lancers out of there, which they should, which means that the Thessalian Cavalry might as well pull back there as well. These Galatian swords are trying to push through to the Agrionian Axemen. And over here, the Samnites did manage to hold their ground. Kind of surprised those units didn't go into their kind of... I think they have a shield wall formation. No, they do not. I thought they did. But I guess not. Let's see what's happening up front. Yeah, the Pike's managing to hold back the Agema Spear at General Pergamon, so Epirus is holding its own at the moment. This Hellenic Royal Guard's getting hit from behind by an Agema Spear, but there's a Levy Pike coming in to sandwich, and there's Agrionians supporting. Agrionian's a nice support unit for Pikes, to be honest. They can help protect them from the enemy skirmish fire. This Levy Pike, though, is getting a decent engagement versus those Samnites at the moment. Let's kind of see. The power bar thinks that Epirus is doing fine. Little Thurio Spear square here, trying to hold back those Hippeus Lancers. There's some Galatian Spears in that mix as well. And those Hippeus Lancers are going to try and just keep pulling around here. Oof. Brutal fire there from the Thurio Spears. That's going to really shred those Lancers. The Lancers have a lot of armor, though. It can sometimes be difficult to finish them off because of their solid armor. The Mercenary Rhodian Slingers getting a little bit wrapped up in melee. They need to get themselves free here and help finish off some of the key enemy units like these. Hippeus Lancers don't have shields, and they will get absolutely destroyed by Slinger fire if it can come in any significant amount. A few Pike units left. The Slingers are definitely taking their toll, though. It is difficult to keep Pikes alive through these long fights. It is certainly not easy. Look at this Hippeus Lancer picking up a clean charge there, and those Agrionians. That's not going to be good. Pergamon is definitely building some momentum here. They have those Hippeus Lancers free. I believe there's, just a single unit. But it is going to be pretty well unopposed at this point in the game. Nope, there's another one over here. Yeah, I think Pergamon's got this. Those heavy cavalry are going to be absolutely devastating for Epirus to handle at this point. They just don't have an answer. Their mobility's gone. Let's see whether this Hellenic Royal Guard, it's got 101 kills. I don't know if it's extremely valuable kills. It's about to pick up a chevron, though, so it's put in a decent performance. But it's now running out of support from other units. And ultimately, unless he can form a Pike Square, which he might actually want to consider if it's possible at this point, I don't think Epirus can get out of this one without a Pike Square, because those cavalry are going to absolutely annihilate them. Let's see, this Galatian Sword's about to rout. Yeah, you can see Pergamon moving in rapidly here. Those Hippeus Lancers are really going to be throwing their weight around. Thurio Spears won't be able to tolerate those charges. They just don't have the staying power to do it. So Galatian Sword's almost gone. There's spears around, there's heavy cavalry, and all the heavy cavalry has to do is just find the flank of these pikes. That's exactly what happened there. So it's going to be a costly victory for Pergamon, but a victory nonetheless. Is that a Pyrrhic victory? It is. A Pyrrhic victory against Epirus. So I guess the only thing that could be more fitting is the Pyrrhic victory with Epirus. But interesting to see Hellenic Royal Guard there. We don't see that on the battlefield every day. It didn't do bad. The pike line, it's tough. It's tough to make them work. I think this player had a good idea here in Mortarex. I mean, he had some support units and stuff in the end. He just couldn't fend off all of those Hippeus Lancers. But I think it was a pretty noble effort, all things considered. I like the combination, like trying to keep that flank safe with a flexible but tough Mercenary Samnite. I like how Pergamon poured on the flank attacks. That's exactly how you face a phalanx, is you don't face it. You go around the edge of it. So I think well done there. And then that Heavy Lancer Corps needed to be the damage component of this Pergamene army, and it was. They came in and dealt some heavy damage. You can see well over 300 kills there, but good work from this Agema Spear general here too. Throwing all those javelins, same thing with the other Agema Spear, getting a lot of kills, and those Slingers took a bit of a beating early, but then ended up doing some decent damage in the end, considering their low cost. Whereas the Rhodian Slingers, it's harder to make them pay off, despite the fact that they are considerably better units. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you all soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.